Make your mistakes. Take your chances. Look silly, but keep on going. Don't freeze up. I have to see a thing 1,000 times before I see it once. There is no spectacle on earth more appealing than that of a beautiful woman in the act of cooking dinner for someone she loves. Child, have patience and belief, for life is many days, and each present hour will pass away. Son, you have been mad and drunken, furious and wild, filled with hatred and despair, and all the dark confusions of the soul. But so have we. You have found the earth too great for your one life. You found your brain and sinew smaller than the hunger and desire that fed on them. But it has been this way with all men. You have stumbled on in darkness. You have been pulled in opposite directions. You have faltered. You have missed the way. But child, this is the chronicle of the earth. And now, because you have known madness and despair, and because you will grow desperate again before you come to evening, we who have stormed the ramparts of the furious earth and been hurled back, we who have been maddened by the unknowable and bitter mystery of love, we who have hungered after fame and savored all of life, the tumultuous pain and frenzy, and now sit quietly by our windows, watching all that henceforth nevermore shall touch us. We call upon you to take heart, for we can swear to you that these things pass. You can't go back home to your family, back home to your childhood, back home to romantic love, back home to a young man's dreams of glory and fame, back home to exile, to escape to Europe and some foreign land, back home to lyricism, to singing for singing's sake, back home to aestheticism, to one's youthful idea of the artist and the all-sufficiency of art and beauty and love, back home to the ivory tower, to places in the country, to the cottage, away from all the strife and conflict of the world, back home to the father you have lost and have been looking for, back home to someone who can help you, save you, erase the burden for you, back home to the old forms and systems of things which once seemed everlasting, but which are changing all the time, back home to the escapes of time and memory. The whole conviction of my life now rests upon the belief that loneliness, far from being a rare and curious phenomenon, peculiar to myself and to a few other solitary men, is the central and inevitable fact of human existence. A stone, a leaf, an unfound door. A stone, a leaf, a door, and all the forgotten faces. Naked and alone, we come into exile. In her dark womb, we did not know our mother's face. From the prison of her flesh have we come into the unspeakable and incommunicable prison of this earth. Which of us has known his brother? Which of us has looked into his father's heart? Which of us has not remained forever prison pent? Which of us is not forever a stranger and alone? O waste of lost in the hot mazes, lost among bright stars on this weary, unbright cinder, lost. Remembering speechlessly, we seek the great forgotten language, the lost lane end into heaven, a stone, a leaf, an unfound door. Where? When? O lost, and by the wind grieved, ghost, come back again. Something has spoken to me in the night, and told me that I shall die. I know not where, saying, death is to lose the earth you know for greater knowing, to lose the life you have for greater life, to leave the friends you loved for greater loving, to find a land more kind than home, more large than earth. Man is born to live, to suffer, and to die, and what befalls him is a tragic lot. There is no denying this in the final end, but we must deny it all along the way. Some things will never change. Some things will always be the same. Lean down your ear upon the earth and listen. The voice of forest water in the night, a woman's laughter in the dark, the clean, hard rattle of raked gravel, the cricketing stitch of midday in hot meadows, the delicate web of children's voices in bright air. These things will never change. The glitter of sunlight on roughened water, the glory of stars, the innocence of morning, the smell of the sea in harbors, the feathery blur and smoky buddings of young brows, and something there that comes and goes and can never be captured, the thorn of spring, the sharp and tongueless cry. These things will always be the same. All things belonging to the earth will never change. The leaf, the blade, the flower, the wind that cries and sleeps and wakes again, the trees whose stiff arms clash and tremble in the dark, and the dust of lovers long since buried in the earth. All things proceeding from the earth to seasons, all things that lapse and change and come again upon the earth, these things will always be the same. For they come up from the earth that never changes. They go back into the earth that lasts forever. Only the earth endures, but it endures forever. Each of us is all the sums he has not counted. Subtract us into the nakedness and night again, and you shall see. Begin in Crete, 4,000 years ago, the love that ended yesterday in Texas. It seems to me that in the orbit of our world, you are the North Pole, I, the South. So much in balance, in agreement, and yet the whole world lies between. What I had to face, the very bitter lesson that everyone who wants to write has got to learn, was that a thing may in itself be the finest piece of writing one has ever done, and yet have absolutely no place in the manuscript one hopes to publish. He had learned some of the things that every man must find out for himself, and he had found out about them as one has to find out, through error and through trial, through fantasy and illusion, through falsehood and his own damn foolishness, through being mistaken and wrong and an idiot and egotistical and aspiring and hopeful and believing and confused. Each thing he learned was so simple and obvious once he grasped it that he wondered why he had not always known it. And what had he learned? A philosopher would not think it much, perhaps. And yet, in a simple human way, it was a good deal. Just by living, by making the 1,000 little daily choices that his whole complex of heredity, environment, and conscious thought and deep emotion had driven him to make. And by taking the consequences, he had learned that he could not eat his cake and have it too. He had learned that in spite of his strange body, so much off scale that it had often made him think himself a creature set apart, he was still the son and brother of all living men. He had learned that he could not devour the earth, that he must know and accept his limitations. He realized that much of his torment of the years past had been self-inflicted and an inevitable part of growing up, and most important of all for one who had taken so long to grow up. He thought he had learned not to be the slave of his emotions. The mountains were his masters. They rimmed in life. They were the cup of reality, beyond growth, beyond struggle and death. They were his absolute unity in the midst of eternal change. My dear, dear girl, we can't turn back the days that have gone. We can't turn life back to the hours when our lungs were sound, our blood hot, our bodies young. We are a flash of fire, a brain, a heart, a spirit, and we are 3 cents worth of lime and iron, which we cannot get back. The reason a writer writes a book is to forget a book, and the reason a reader reads one is to remember it. Perhaps this is our strange and haunting paradox here in America, that we are fixed and certain only when we are in movement. All things on earth point home in old October, sailors to sea, travelers to walls and fences, hunters to field and hollow, and the long voice of the hounds. The lover to the love he has forsaken. By God, I shall spend the rest of my life getting my heart back, healing and forgetting every scar you put upon me when I was a child. The first move I ever made after the cradle was to crawl for the door, and every move I have made since has been an effort to escape. The old hunger for voyages fed at his heart, to go alone into strange cities, to meet strange people and to pass again before they could know him, to wander, like his own legend, across the earth. It seemed to him there could be no better thing than that. Each moment is the fruit of 40,000 years. The minute-winning days, like flies, buzz home to death, and every moment is a window on all time. The soft stone smile of an angel is touched by that dark miracle of chance, which makes new magic in a dusty world. There came to him an image of man's whole life upon the earth. It seemed to him that all man's life was like a tiny spurt of flame that blazed out briefly in an illimitable and terrifying darkness, and that all man's grandeur, tragic dignity, his heroic glory, came from the brevity and smallness of this flame. He knew his life was little and would be extinguished, and that only darkness was immense and everlasting. And he knew that he would die with defiance on his lips, and that the shout of his denial would ring with the last pulsing of his heart into the maw of all-engulfing night. I don't know yet what I am capable of doing, but by God, I have genius. I know it too well to blush behind it. The essence of belief is doubt. The essence of reality is questioning. The essence of time is flow, not fix. The essence of faith is the knowledge that all flows and that everything must change. This is man, a writer of books, a putter down of words, a painter of pictures, a maker of 10,000 philosophies. He grows passionate over ideas. He hurls scorn and mockery at another's work. He finds the one way, the true way, for himself, and calls all others false. Yet in the billion books upon the shelves, there is not one that can tell him how to draw a single fleeting breath in peace and comfort. He makes histories of the universe. He directs the destiny of the nations, but he does not know his own history, and he cannot direct his own destiny with dignity or wisdom for even 10 consecutive minutes. This is man, who, if he can remember 10 golden moments of joy and happiness out of all his years, 10 moments unmarked by care, unseamed by aches or itches, has the power to lift himself with his expiring breath and say, I have lived upon this earth and known glory.